My name is Jacob Benson. What do I do? Um, Everything. Energy architect, technology weaver, healer, Akashic records consultant.
I want us to go back. Let's go back in time. Starting at the beginning, can you think back to before you even started this Black Diamond experience with me? What was on your mind? What were you feeling like is a challenge? What were you looking for?
I was pretty convinced that I was stuck and I didn't know.
Tell me more. What didn't you know?
Oh, I knew. I knew like I knew. I just didn't think
Of
I
course you
knew.
did. Of course you did. Yeah.
I was just feeling in general like there was something that I was missing or that I was stuck, that there were things I needed to know that I didn't know or that I wasn't aware of, or I had like a blind spot to, which that at least I think turned out to be accurate. But of course, it was never what I would have expected because the blind spot just turned out to be that I had convinced myself that of those other things that I said,
Yeah. Yeah.
which of course is it's a very human thing to do. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to go back to I just love when we started to work together and kind of review what your desire for personal expression was. It's like I always love to just pull up your words to bring into the world the work that I'm meant to bring into the world at the highest possible level of expression that's available to me, that serves my highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of all. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
so I was an M and certainly intend to continue to be aware of the fact that what my personality self thinks and wants is much different than what my higher self slash my soul wants. And so that was all phrased intentionally to state that like human Jacob is getting out of the way.
Mm,
And I want what my soul wants. Like that's fundamentally why I'm here. And I'm not gonna pretend to know or to decide what that is right now. And instead just open myself up to the infinite possibilities that exist. It's,
mm.
it's a classic, right? Oh, you said an intention. Well, make sure you say or something better
Yeah.
at the end because we are just from conditioning and programming and earth doing earth things, right? Our perspective just tends to be so limiting. Even when you've had experiences of things much higher, it's so hard to convince your subconscious mind that no, literally everything is possible. Like, and you have to forget everything that you've ever experienced, like here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what all of that was about. And of
Yeah.
course, you know, for all like my, part of my whole being is about unity and not separation.
Mm.
So I'm not interested in things that only serve a specific group or subset of people. There's enough of that.
Mm.
That's not what I'm about.
And thinking about that beginning, right, with like a lot of the human stuff, because we are human. So I remember you saying feeling like being at a loss or having a blind spot to um where you are now. What kind of knowing lives in your body now? Like just how you're speaking, right? Even just how your energy is now is very clear and very sovereign and very powerful. So I would love you to speak more to, this. I remember you sending me, as this was unraveling, a message around like I think I even grabbed that as well because I was like, we have to talk about this. And maybe it's not fully now, this was before, but when that spark was happening was like so amazing to watch because you were in essence claiming the thing that you were here to do, right? From um feeling at a loss to then, okay, now I have this technology, right? Which is mind blowing. And you're connecting to this technology, which is absolutely going to ripple out into the world like never before. Speaking to that experience of what that was like as it was unraveling for you, I think you're saying something about igniting the spark of divine potential or something like that. And then this is closely related to actual technology and spiritual technology. So just want to hear your thoughts and your feelings on that process, how that was for you as it began to unfold, because those are two very different experiences that it was like a rapid unfolding around that for you.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing about igniting the spark of divine potential and technological innovation, I mean that just was a download that came
Yeah.
through one morning
Yeah.
and is a perfect example of I cannot imagine a scenario where I would have come up with that myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I had opened myself up to, hey, whatever, like basically tell me what I need to know. And then
Mhm.
that came through so strongly. And then of course it's just an immediate knowing in your body because it feels different than everything else.
What do you think's the biggest difference between how you were operating before and how you're operating now?
So it's really just taking action. So I was gonna say at the end of my previous sentence that, and just as important as getting to download, the thing that I mean, this has been a while ago now, but I would say if it wasn't immediately, it was within a couple of hours, but that was um the tagline or description or whatever it's called on like LinkedIn and my Instagram profile and on WhatsApp and whatever else. And
Yeah.
I've been much more consistent lately about no matter how small it seems, when I have little, well, when I have, I shouldn't say little, when I have downloads or intuitive hits about, look at this post and share, like reshare this post or just comment on this thing, just doing it instead of before I was, I mean, we'll just say maybe it was like 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times I would just sit there and be like, does it actually matter if I do anything? Like what is it actually going to change? Or
Mm.
like, what impact is it going to have?
Yeah.
And um, that was in retrospect very clearly like a self-limiting behavior because none of that actually matters. It is only the action that matters,
Yeah.
whether somebody ever
Oh,
sees it or
action.
not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that is the revelation of, oh, the my terminology is portals, right? That's a portal. You decide in that moment, you have the download, you have the intuitive nudge, and you do it. So the time between you taking the action and to me, I'm also seeing for you like that embodiment and that of that knowing, right? Is
And it's also just an energetic exchange. Like
mm,
energy was outputted on some level to provide me with that information.
yeah,
It then needs to go somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't necessarily like that just came to me, so I don't
yeah.
know
No,
what
that's
happens
that's
with
like
that
a whole other
energy. If
conversation. But
yeah, that
I love
is
that.
that
Yeah.
is a yeah, that is a rabbit hole for
Because
sure.
what
But
happens when you don't put it anywhere?
yeah, like where does
That's a whole other. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
love that. I love that. I'd love to know what two things I love to ask are, what was your favorite part of this experience? And what surprised you the most?
Guess the thing that's coming up is what surprised me the most is now that we're kind of through the last couple of months, just how much easier everything is.
Mm.
Like I can't point to a single thing where it was like, oh, like, it felt like a seismic shift kind of a thing where it was like, oh, like now everything's different. It just is,
Yeah.
which speaks to the whole overall experience between our calls and conversations and the membership calls and the audio activations and like the whole thing, which is both, I mean, just from a strictly human perspective, is kind of remarkable because when we started, there was no like, this week we're doing this, and this week we're doing this, and then we're going to have calls on this day. It was really the whole way through just working together to feel like, where are we at, and like, what do we need next, and this is what I'm getting, like, how are you feeling, and we've ended up exactly where we needed to be. What was the other question?
Yeah, your favorite part.
Oh, my favorite part. I mean, my favorite part is how many times I saw your shit-eating grin on your face when I would say something and you'd just be like, yes, that's what I've been telling you. Yes. Yeah.
That's like, that's the juice of it, right? Like what I see in that journey is you just fucking owning all of this and you already knowing and moving from that knowing in your sovereign power. So one last thing, if someone were thinking about enrolling in the Black Diamond experience, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to expect the unexpected and to trust uh and to know that they will get everything out of the experience that they need to get as long as they're open to it.
Hmm.
And if you have resistance of any kind, don't do it because you're not going to get out of it what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's right. We've said it a bunch. It's either a hell yes or it's
Mhm.
absolutely not. There can't be any kind of middle ground. If
Yeah.
either you would have immediately been like, this isn't for you,
Yeah, that.
or we both would have ended up so frustrated.
Yeah,
So
that wouldn't have happened in the first place. But yes, I love that. It's the willingness. It's the willingness and the openness and the surrender to that experience to its fullest. So, um, Jacob, this was fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
this was fun as
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.